On a brisk January night in... my bad. My bad. Okay. On a brisk January night in 2020, the routine of Mr. Braswell's night shift became a night of horror. A brutal murder, cryptic message, and multiple pieces of evidence, all pointing to the suspect with a history of injustice of the law. But was it an accident or premeditated murder? Your Honor, ladies and gentlemen of the jury, the defendant, Fran Lewis, has been charged with the murder of Richard Braswell in the first degree. The evidence and testimonies presented during this trial will prove, beyond any and all doubt, that the defendant is charged as guilty. On the night of January 5th, 2020, Mr. Braswell went to work as per usual. He was taking the night shift and was abruptly murdered. He was found by Pat Winters lying on his side with the back of his skull crushed in front of the main entrance of the building with the word pig sprayed on the window. Mr. Winters then called the police and Officer Barnes showed up at 12:12 a.m. They later found fresh shoe prints that led from the entrance towards the parking lot. Following the shoe prints, Officer Barnes and Mr. Winter found a can of red spray paint and fresh tire tracks. The spray can that was found was the same brand that the defendant had used in a prior vandalism and one of his protests for the Swamp Rats, a group of people in charge of preventing, controlling, and disrupting protests. The defendant has also gotten in trouble with the law before for misdemeanors of battery, intoxication, trespassing, vandalism, and marijuana possession. Dale Williams later examined the shoe prints and the tire tracks, and they were found to match the shoes and tires that the defendant has. The evidence will show that Fran Lewis did in fact murder the victim by hitting him repeatedly with a tire iron in the back of his head, and the killing was perpetrated with a premeditated intent. Pat Winters will testify and state how he had heard the defendant threaten the victim prior to the murder, how he had seen the defendant's truck parked 0.5 miles away from the crime scene earlier that evening, and he will describe all of the evidence and events he witnessed/saw that night. Officer Lynn Barnes will testify and state how, when she arrived at the scene, she noticed fresh footprints in the dirt, how she saw the red spray can, how she noticed no signs of a struggle at the scene, and how the victim's belongings were still intact and on his person. The defendant's parents hadn't seen or heard from him in days, and she later that week arrested the defendant when he was seen trying to flee the town, but he did not answer any questions the officer asked. Expert Dale Williams will testify and state that he examined the fingerprints, shoe prints, and tire tracks left at the scene of the crime. He had found one print on the door handle of the building's entrance, which matched with the victim's fingerprints. He also noticed that the tire iron found had been cleaned thoroughly and recently. He found latent prints on the paint can, which matched the defendant's fingerprints as well, and the shoes and tire tracks at the scene found at the crime had also matched the defendant's.